That's my beautiful voice, and immediately we'll lose our one viewer. Good evening, our one viewer. How are you doing? Taking a time off from my weekend long. Let's see. Weekend long RimWorld marathon to work on the game again, because there's just so much that needs to be done, and well, I like working on it. So. By the way, my RimWorld game is going pretty well. Like I said, I've always played it non-violently. Like my one goal was just like get the hell off the planet, and that was relatively easy once you got figured things out. But what I really wanted though is this time around, I'm basically playing, an evil empire that just happens to rise from like the mountains. Basically, this thing, and it's not going to be a very pleasant ending for most people on there. But I've so rarely given myself, allowed myself to play the baddies, in a game. So this is pretty cool. It's been cool so far. Um, let's see. And outside of that, yeah, like I think I've mentioned many times here, I mean, or several times, we don't do anything much for the holidays here. Laura and I maybe like order out for Indian food. That's about it. Um, but here's the problem, and this is something that sort of like gives me a little bit of fear for the holiday, is that at least here in Portland and a lot of a lot of other cities as well, mostly on the East Coast, restaurants, they close on Mondays. And I'm sincerely hoping, considering we typically, are we go out to an Indian place to order some food. I would really, I'd really hate to think that we are like not going to have our, you know, that. But yeah, that's I'm working on something right now. It's sort of like a little detail that was added recently, but it was something that really I thought was I'm surprised we never added because it is a very good narrative piece for the game. So, providing we haven't lost all of our viewers, considering my voluminous belching and such, I'm supposing everybody watching is having a pretty decent holiday. Sorry. Um, and if anybody wonders, it isn't because of religious reasons that I don't celebrate the holidays. My father was a Catholic, my mother was a Southern Baptist, and I just, at a certain point in my life, I just found it not all that really productive to do much for the holidays. So, and some people may call me like a Scrooge, but bah, I say. Anyway, but if you enjoy the holidays and everything, that's awesome for you. By the way, I don't mean to hold it against, because we all like different stuff. If we all like the same stuff, the world would be an incredibly dull place. I'm seeing nothing in the chat, right? Nothing exactly. No one, nobody's joining us in the chat there. Anybody got something to say? Is this a bot? Is this real life? Is this fantasy? Never been much of a Queen fan, by the way. And I understand, you must like Queen. You must like Queen. No, sit that one out. I mean, I respect them for what they were, but it's just not my kind of music. I mean, it's sort of like the same thing with Pink Floyd. I respect what they are, not my kind of music. It just is. I usually, heck, let's put on my kind of music. It's Christmas Eve. Let's put on my Christmas music, guys and gals. Let's see. Let's go to Cryo Chamber. I think they recently released something new. And by the way, please join me in the chat there. If I probably already said that twice, but let's just see here. Yeah. Oh, he's already put out his year end of the year album. That's pretty cool. Mount Shrine, Homeless Rose. Let's give it a. Hopefully, it's nothing too depressing. Anyway, so let's see. We're gonna. And I need to check sound layers because I don't want to make that so loud that it overpowers me. That's a little bit too loud. By the way, I had to do without my headphones for about 2 weeks. My God, it was hell. I'm sorry to sound like such a snowflake in this, but my goodness. Oh no, we don't want we want a good sort of display glass. Geez, so many glasses we have, materials. Oh, we have a lot of redundancies in this game. We need to really clean things up. Hmm? I see. So, actually, I usually talk about stuff I don't like, but I will mention last night, Laura and I started watching a show called Carol and the End of the World. Kind of liked it. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far with with that show. If you have Netflix, you should check it out. I say, I mean, we only watched the first couple of episodes, and it drew me in. I mean, there's sort of like I think it's sort of like an underused genre of science fiction. Um, it's the pre-apocalyptic genre, and I think the person who did it best, at least in fiction, was a guy who wrote a book called The Last Policeman or The Last Detective. I think it was The Last Policeman. That was a pretty good that was a pretty good series. It's like 3 books, but anyway, yeah, it's like that exciting point before. I mean, when everybody knows, yeah, we're screwed, but there's nothing we can do, and they just, how do we get on with life when we know that's the case? And I don't know. I think that's underexplored as far as fiction. And by the way, Peace Island is not a pre-apocalyptic story. It's just, oh, that's the glass we want, baby. Nice and shiny, but transparent. And I think I'm gonna just put the standard sort of brass fittings. Oops. I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna replace these. It's quicker and easier than relying on the detection. Yeah, and The Last Detective. Let me just see if anybody's chatting at us here. Nobody. Yep, lost everybody. That's great. Yeah, The Last Detective, or no, The Last Policeman was a story that is sort of, it's set in New Hampshire, and essentially the world has gotten the news. It's sort of like, the Don't Look Up story, if you've ever watched that movie. And I think that movie, quite frankly, gets a bad rap. Um, but I like Don't Look Up. In fact, I watched it twice. I've watched it 3 times, and I think it's a very good film. I think the criticism against Don't Look Up are mostly just quibbling. If anybody disagrees with me, please put it in the chat, responses down there in the chat or the comments below. But I liked Don't Look Up, and considering what we're seeing at COP 28 or whatever the heck I mean cop cop out. I don't think. Jeez. I say, here's something that's, I mean, considering we're having no viewers, but this is something that the Annapurna, the spies can. Hey, I think I got a call from one of your developers, by the way, on Stray. Just saying. Well, understand. One of the problems that you guys got wrong in Stray, and don't get me wrong, Stray, great game. For what it is. But people are getting sort of, there's a reaction against, uh, of course, there's a great deal of truth to, the fault lies not in our stars, but in ourselves. And yes, but the whole message of all humans are bad. Jeez, well, we lost our brass. Let me see. Maybe gold material. Ah, there we go. There's sort of a backlash against that because I mean, and I'm having to like digest this myself. Is that really the problem in our planet is not, all of us as humanity as a whole. it's just a few rich bastards who aren't paying their fair share and doing their fair. It's basically the opposite of what Ayn Rand constantly preached about in her horrible, awful books. Um, and it's those people. They are not Atlas. They are the opposite of Atlas. They are dragging the world down with them. And I mean, Laura, my partner Laura, she constantly says that, these old people, these old narcissistic rich people like Trump and Elon Musk, they just want to take the world down with them because they can't. I mean, heck, I'm just saying, like Hitler, at the very end, he's like, I can't imagine the world without me, so I'm literally going to burn everything down. And there may be a little bit of legitimacy to that, and I know. I mean, I'd say Elon Musk, yeah, sure, take you and all the rich people, go to Mars, go just f off right to Mars. I think most of us, you could take all the hedge fund managers and all the scumbags. You could take Donald Trump with you, and we'll be a heck of a lot better off. So yeah, I'm totally in favor of Elon Musk going to Mars. Yeah, yeah, please go, Elon, immediately. Uh, and I know, yes, it won't benefit any of humanity if Elon goes. Yeah, oh yeah, it will, because Elon will be gone. We won't have to see his smug mug on our television. He and all the other rich people go off to Mars. They'll die, and we'll be better off. Yes, I said that, YouTube. I mean, and if anybody wants to report me, like the scammers that I know who still tune in on occasion, yes, please, of course, yes, yes, yes. And I'll stand by that. The world would be better off if it weren't for Elon. If Elon Musk wasn't there. I mean, oh, what about Tesla? It had nothing to do with Tesla. Oh, what about PayPal? It had nothing to do with it. Just basically a geek with just too much money. I will give him credit. He developed a video game when he was relatively young. I mean, heck, we game developers, we give each other, props when deserved. And yeah, I mean, that was, I think, what he did it back in the day, when it was sort of I think he got perhaps among the white classes of South Africa at that time, hey, uh, there was if you don't know, in the 80s, there was a video game development boom in Great Britain. It was spurred by the availability of a very cheap machine that you could do elementary development on. I can't remember if somebody here is watching. James, I think he's from the UK. I'm pretty sure. I mean, it's legendary over there. That's where Peter Molyneux got his start, and so on and so forth. And I think there may have been an equivalent of that in South Africa. Elon Musk, he developed a video game when he was relatively young. And heck, I mean, that's something that I wanted to do when I was about that age. But, I didn't grow up to be a Titanic wanker like he did. Just, God. Anyway. Okay, so we want to make that a little bit tighter, but we want to put a magic black plastic on that. But anyway, off of Elon Musk, because that's low-hanging fruit, really. And what really astounds me is there are still some people who oh, hello, M. Oh, thank you. You want me to talk more about Elon Musk, Em? I could go on forever. Oh, well, no, the thing is that's what he likes. I what gets here's what gets me. Okay, Elon Musk straight up. At so many points, he has this awful boomer style sense of humor, and he likes to think that he's a troll. Epic troll, LOL, 4chan, old school. No, no, he isn't. He just sucks. And have you ever seen? Maybe we could put that up later. But I mean, there was this thing when people were, the EU was threatening. All these people were threatening to to pull out advertising because of the stuff. He was like, "Oh yeah, they could go fuck themselves." And go watch the video, and you could see him. He's sitting there and he does this little thing where he's like, you can see his wheels turning. He's like, there should be applause right now, and he repeats himself. It's like, oh, that's how edgy I am. world's richest man, they can go fuck themselves. And the applause never happens. It's just, but he's just going, I think really back in the day, all rich people have always been this way. It's just that right now we're living, in the in the social media age, and the world's richest man is letting it all hang out there. I mean, would Andrew Carnegie and I'm pretty sure Gerald Ford, Gerald Ford, he was a big, not Gerald Ford, sorry, Henry Ford. Henry Ford. He was a big anti-Semite and such. He would have been spreading the protocols, the Elders of Zion and stuff like that. On Twitter, if he had Twitter, Steam, the Twitter via teletype. What was it? Telegraph. There you go. All right. Put this on there, and what we also want to do is we want to give these guys, yeah. But enough about Elon Musk. I mean, really, because I remember 4chan back when it was good. Oh yeah, B was never good. In my day, B was never good on 4chan. But I got there, I think, during its best moment. I just happened to discover 4chan and that whole culture right before Operation Chanology started, when they took down the Church of Scientology. And I think that was Anonymous's greatest moment. And it's shocking to me, can I say, the same place that gave us Project Chanology is now like one of the places where all these right wingers hang out to get QAnon shit. It's one of the ironies of history to me, because to me, at the very beginning, I mean, number one, 4chan was no one's friend. It was never good. They prided themselves on being the sewer of the internet. But on the other hand, I remember back in the day, it was predominantly leftist. And yeah, despite, it had basically the same content, same horrible content. But it's kind of crazy that now. But I remember back in the day, I mean, I didn't know about stochastic terrorism back then. And if you don't know about stochastic terrorism, I mean, there was a lot of the crazy language, basically language that would get any YouTube channel banned. I'm not going to say any of it, but the thing is most of the people that were saying, if there was an anti-Semitic comment, you assumed that it was coming from a Jewish person. If there was, etc., that's how 4chan, at least if that's the way it was. At least that's the way it was in Chanology. During the time that I was there, because I mean, everybody, in NYC Anonymous was basically a B-tard. They just were. And I knew that the gay people were calling themselves the F word. The Jewish people were calling themselves, etc. Blah, blah, blah. And that's the way it was, because I saw. Maybe it's something that didn't translate well into real life. I mean, I didn't ever take it into real life. I mean, I knew that, you use one language around the 4chan people than you did around normal people. And, that's what really fascinated me about 4chan culture when I first discovered it. I discovered it one day mostly via a website that now has been banned because it's, just like 4chan itself has been taken over by just straight up hate speech, etc., etc. When I discovered I mean, I didn't just, I looked at these posts and these things, and I did not understand. It was like they had their own language. And indeed, I don't know if 4chan is the same way as it was back. They would call somebody like me an old F word, but that's the way it was back in my day. It took me a while just to learn exact. I mean, it was almost a pictographic language that you had to pick up to understand what the hell was going on there. And it was interesting at the very beginning. So again, I got into it at the very beginning of Project Chanology, and right now, I mean, geez, I'm no fan of the Church of Scientology, and I'm glad that, I mean, I picketed against the Church of Scientology when I was part of Operation Chanology back in the day. In fact, there's I've seen several documentaries that have footage of myself, and back in the day of me and that and my get up on that first time, and it was just, why did I get into that? Because here's the thing: back in the day, I was working on a political website, and I was so sick of politics. It was, Obama had gotten elected after 4 years of George W. Bush. And I know Obama was not perfect. Okay, I totally get that. Totally on board with that. Could have something to do with Congress being completely controlled by Republicans for 6 years of his presidency. Just saying. Maybe not completely controlled, but I believe that's the case. I'd have to go back and look. And I mean, jeez. And I don't want to say anything that's really bad, because I ran that political website, and I think that's where I got into this whole thing. And that's, yeah, how I got into the Forum Channel. Because it was like, okay, Obama's elected, my fight is over for the time being, because, geez, just like the Iraqis after we evaded, we expected some real cool stuff. We were expecting, all the Republicans are going, oh my God, he's a socialist. We go, yes. That's precisely what we want. And then you had Glenn Beck going on, this isn't what we voted for. Shut up, Glenn. You voted for George W. Bush. What the hell are you talking about? This isn't what we voted for. And anyway, then the Tea Party movement came along. And then oh God. And then Occupy. Geez. So what we want to now find is a nice sort of like velvet pillow that we could put this on. But I think the best thing to do with this is actually to take out this tablecloth. And yeah, he was President Jones Strike. And I forget, he had another, et cetera, et cetera. But jeez, you can only do so much when you're stymied every time, every way, et cetera, et cetera. And I've made my, they called him the deporter in chief. Obama, he was the deporter in chief. The Republicans were going, oh my God, he's letting everybody into the country. No, they called Obama the deporter in chief. And yeah, there we go. If I could just extend this. By the way, this, if you're wondering what I'm doing, this is a time capsule that was unearthed when they were building the foundation for this city hall. And I can't give much more away about it, but I just needed to put this in here and just put some sort of generic thing underneath it so that I would be able to mark it off the done category. So anyway. Now, as far as the drone strikes, now, understand, and this is something that, if this is something the Green Party, do I have black velvet? Just crazy. Do I have velvet at all? Velvet? Yes, I have red velvet. I'm just going to make a copy of that, and I'm going to call... What? Okay, my red velvet is all screwed up. Jeez. I want some sort of nice pedestal that it's on there, and, it is what it is. But I remember back in the day, before I discovered that the Green Party of the United States was actually just basically the Russians. It just is. And back then I heard, Jill Stein, bless her heart. I met her in person, by the way. Pretty decent person when I first met her, but she was unfortunately another willing shill of the of the Russians. But back then, the Green Party was all about, oh, we got to abolish drone warfare. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Yes, drone warfare is absolutely awful. It's horrible. It leads to collateral damage, etc., etc. But when you compare it to everything, by every metric that we were doing before, far better. Yeah, we want to avoid collateral damage, and I hate using that term, but really, it just is. And yes, I understand. Yeah, it killed thousands of people. War kills thousands of people. But and I would rather, can I just say, I'm a peacenik. I'm not a tanky, but I'm a peacenik. And I, quite frankly, would like that there. Back when I was young, I used to imagine, oh, can't we? Oh, yeah, there has to be a war is not the natural state of humanity, etc., etc. But unfortunately, since then, I got a heck of a lot more, cynical and older, and I've seen the world. And unfortunately, yeah, the world is. I mean, it is not the peaceful place that we would like it to be. We are just there. There will be war. I am not a Christian, but one of the. I mean, again, there will be wars and rumors of wars. That's one of those phrases that's absolutely true. I'm sort of like Nick Cave. Not that I mean Nick Cave, number one, musical genius, great lyricist, Mercy Seat. I mean, oh my goodness, I know the lyrics from beginning to end. But he's very fascinated with the Bible, and he constantly. I mean, he just constantly reads it. Most of his stuff is like influenced it by, but he constantly says, I don't believe in it at all, But he's yeah, it is endlessly fascinating, and yeah. There will be always wars and rumors of wars. I mean, people will. There's a great book by Chris Hedges. War is a cause that gives us meaning. Hold on for a minute. Let's see. Chris Hedges. Read that book if you haven't had a chance. And it's a very, very unfortunately depressing book. But you'll just learn that unfortunately humans, when we will come up with reasons to fight with each other when there's absolutely no logical reason that we should. We just do, and it's I mean, conflict does breed innovation. It breeds, et cetera, et cetera. It breeds for better or ill, to, cross genetic. What's the word? Spread. Uh, and not always in the horrible way that you might think. I mean, how many military bases can you just say in the past, I guarantee you, can I just say, in Burkina Faso, oh, cancel. Where, if you're not aware, Burkina Faso is the Central African Republic is no, the Central African Republic, is that what it's called now? Jeez, here we go, googling again. Grandpa Eric. Yeah, Burkina. Yeah, this used to be called the Central African Empire. Then it was Central African Republic. Now it's the Central Af. No, it's Burkina Faso. They used to actually have a very promising president at the very beginning, but colonial, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, right now the Wagner Group still has its greatest presence in Burkina Faso. And I guarantee you, in about 40 years, there's going to be a new I mean, probably about less than that, far less than that, actually. There's going to be a new generation of half Russian, half, Burkina Faso, Burkinans growing up. And those are just from military bases, just that are just there. And that's the way it's always been. And that's why, I unfortunately had to give up that idea that, yeah, we're going to one day we'll come to our senses and live in peace. Would love that to be true, but I just don't see it happening anytime soon. Sucks. I would like to think that we're capable of it, just like I would like to think that we're capable of addressing climate change. But I mean, I think it's already too late. Quite frankly, I mean, it is. But we were still refused to do anything, and but it is what it is. And that is going to be. Can I just say, because over the last year, this whole question and writing the game about are the humans worth bringing back? I will confess that, there was like this innate prejudice in me where I was like, oh, this isn't the shape that I want. I'm very sorry. Whereas, like, man, I kept on saying to myself, it's going to be very hard to write the half of the game that's pro-human. You know what I'm saying? And I just realized I actually was. But again, now, I mean, really, we have to understand again, it's not all humans that are bad. I mean, one of the things. I'm sorry, Pyramid Tribe. No, I'm sorry, Prism Triangle. That's what I was going for. It's sort of like when I go out to Peaks Island, or one of my favorite islands out there in Casco Bay, and I see yet another, person from Boston or Florida or something who's building their third house as an investment on one of the last little bits of like preserved land on that island, and they're never going to be there. I mean, and that's not all humanity's problem. And I mean, when you look back at World War One, I mean, World War One. I mean, if you have not looked into the history of World War One, do it. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, you have this general idea, oh yeah, the Principe guy, if you're that familiar with it, shot the Archduke Ferdinand, etc., etc. But really, Hardcore History is a podcast. He did like a 3-part, like almost 12-hour, review of all the historical stuff that he's read on it, and it's World War One is just, I mean, it was because I'm just saying these were empires fighting with each other at the same. They were all descended, for the most part, from Queen Victoria. They were still hanging out with each other and just writing letters to each other. Oh, dear cousin, etc., etc. And that is still considered one of the greatest horrors that ever, I mean, ever befouled humanity. And it wasn't all of humanity did it. It was just, again, you when you listen to the history of it, and you realize it was just countries were just dragged into it. They fell into it. It was sort of like this. They were all chained to each other, and they didn't want to go. There was no reason to go, but they were chained to each other, and they just had to. And and how do you write that without coming across without a political agenda? That's the big problem. Okay. Because if within the game our argument is, oh, only it's a few people who are causing a problem for the planet, how do we keep that free of a moralizing agenda? I don't want to be preachy. I mean, like I said, I think at the very beginning of this game, some people are like, I hope you keep your politics out of the game, and I was like, I don't know what you mean by politics. Do you mean we're going to be mentioning, global warming? Well, that's not politics. That's reality. Are you saying that? I mean, are we? I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean, in the end, I said, I'm pretty sure. Like I said, there are two there on the island. There is a gay married couple. And you know what? Yeah, all you'll learn from playing the game is that gay couples are basically like hetero couples. You'll learn that they argue, they over petty crap, that they both got their own thing, et cetera, et cetera. And I mean, it's going to just be a married couple. They're gay, but that doesn't mean. I mean, and why are we include? Do you feel you have to include a gay character to be politically correct and inclusive, et cetera, et cetera? Okay, let me tell to those people. Let me tell you something about the craft of writing. Writing 101. Okay, you want to write about interesting people. Okay, and for the most part, you want to interesting people are people outside of the end of the consumer's experience, and we usually, and for the most part, it works. We create a hero, we create a dynamic person who takes on the Nazis, always the Nazis, punch a Nazi, et cetera, et cetera. But I heard this really great. I'm sorry, I got an itchy nose here. I'm gonna thank you, indulge me. I heard that I went through a bunch of like writers workshops on YouTube, and I heard this. One of the guys, he was saying, as far as character generation, okay, let's say you write a character, and this guy is a 6'7" African American, heavily muscled guy that's a hitman, and he goes out, etc., etc. But also make it so that he's autistic and that he his biggest thing is playing Dungeons and Dragons. You see, you you have to create interesting characters. That is far more interesting than just creating, etc., etc. And it's not about if anybody goes, oh, you included these two gay characters because you had to include. Well, I think it would be good on an island of 38 people, considering statistics that there would be two gay people living on the island. But yeah, this is going to be a plaque, by the way, and but yeah, we included these characters because I mean one of the things that I mean most people who are screaming and yelling about gay marriage, they have to understand. Don't worry, it's going to be every bit as boring and sexless as your hetero marriage after a couple of years. Don't worry, okay? So that's basically what we're going to. If anything, we're going to be depicting about gay culture. I mean, it's that is that hey, it's a common thing. Couples argue, couples don't get along sometimes, etc., etc. All right, and here's the. I would so love it if this was like resting on a pillow, but we don't have a pillow that'll fit into this. But yeah, but yeah, you it's not to be it isn't about representation, even though trust me, it means a hell of a lot to have representation. Just look at Black Panther. I Black Panther is one of the few. I am not into superhero. The Marvel MCU or etc. But I watched it only because I heard so much, and there was a little bit of a backlash because people are going, so crazy over this Black Panther movie. They're saying it's a triumph, etc., etc. And yet, it's not even the best MCU movie. But let me tell you, it meant a hell of a lot to people to see. I mean, to the millions upon millions of black comic book fans, African American, no, straight up black comic book fans all around the world to finally just, a movie about, I'm total. And by the way, that gesture was supposed to be something about me. I don't. I'm autistic. I in my own way. I'm on the spectrum. If you haven't guessed, but so yeah. Okay. Let's see here. The thing is if it doesn't have that, if it doesn't have if it doesn't have a pillow it is sitting on, I would like that thing beneath it to be the same black plastic. Oops. Let me see if I have cloth at all. Wow. No? Oh, yeah, actually I do, sorry. I could just create a variation of a cloth, generic cloth texture. Yeah, okay. But anyway, I should continue my rambling narrative of whatever the hell I was talking about. For some reason, I can't seem to grab this. There it is. Okay, cool. Tablecloth, yeah. And let's see if we can. Yes, we can. Excellent. Si se puede. Oh, goodness, look at this. Don't even have my version control on. There we are. Excellent. That's what we want, yeah. And you want the black plastic texture on here. Cool. I don't like the table that it's sitting on. It's like just an office table. Somebody put like, a very important object like this on top of this. Jeez. I'm gonna have to see if I have a better like display area for it. Okay, well, anyway, we got that, and really should grab all of that right now and stick it inside of a prefab. Oh yeah, and we finished. If I'm talking about stuff that I actually liked, television and movies, we finished the show Mythic Quest. I liked it, even though I think again the third series just sort of seems to be sort of arbitrary in the way it's put together, but it's still good. Um, Actually, I'm just trying to think. It would actually be right out here. No, it would be in the back because you wouldn't want all the tourists. This would be something like, considering it's been there for a very long time, it wouldn't be out front and center, except they would move it out because it would be here for the unveiling of this object that's been here for so long. So yeah, game object, create empty, stick all of that in there. I just going back to the whole representation thing and such. I mean, just go back to the. I mean, have you ever read a book and it's like, oh yeah, it's about entirely about people that are just like me, et cetera, et cetera. And as soon as you see in the narrative that this character is a little bit different from you, your mind goes. And I mean, again, it makes a story interesting. It just does. And I should just say, representation can be interesting for everyone. Anyway, time capsule. All right. And again, we're trying to make somebody like everybody in this game. We have 38 people in the game, and trust me, there's going to be a former member, of the islands community that will probably be like, oh yeah, I identify with that individual. Let's see. I'm going to move this painting. It was moved because. And do they have a coffee table? I mean, a coffee making table and all that stuff back here? You need to take a look here. Yeah, they have no coffee station. I mean, in an office, they'd have to have a coffee station. Oh, by the way, I cannot drink coffee, if I have not mentioned this before. Coffee, to me, is this crazy diarrhea juice that everybody else just really loves. And I'm addicted to caffeine and sugar. I just get mine from Coca-Cola. I just am addicted to Coca-Cola. I am. And that's kind of neat. The horizontal painting, or no, the vertical painting. We need to make. Yeah, that's a good idea, Laura. Great. And actually, these could be a 3-panel triptych of like events from the island's history. And yeah, we need to make the coffee station over here. It's strange that there is no coffee. Sorry, stop saying coffee station. Okay. Yeah, okay. And actually, the coffee station. Yeah. Okay, cool. Now, do I have a pedestal? Let's just see. We may have had people chatting at me, but I've been just talking too much here. So, oh, here we go. This is what we want here, but we want it without. Do we have it without the drapery? Yes. Yeah, this is what we want here. So, let's see. This is great. That's perfect. Seems not to be sticking to there, but oh, it's because it's not inside the prefab. I'm not putting this together correctly. I'm just noticing, but I'll put it together correctly later. As long as the stuff is there inside of its own scene, I'm happy. Yeah, there we go. This is the pedestal that the time capsule deserves. And trust me, as soon as I get this placed, I'm going to check and see if anybody is chatting, and I will respond to you if anybody asks any questions here. And I just noticed that the base just sticks out way too much. There we go. Yeah, and I mean, when you think about it, we like I said, representation would be fun. Oh, hello. Somebody's talking. Power is sure to be the biggest. Concentration of power. Capitalism is a mechanism for consolidating the power legally, causing a lot of harms. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That basically sums it up there. Yeah, okay, so that looks pretty good there. And I'm surprised we don't use this pedestal more often here. We should just scoot it in here so there's a waste basket on the other side. Oh, no. The plant should be on the outside over here. Because you don't want people bumping. Don't bump into the time capsule, please. And it would be like right up front by the reception desk, because it would be something that they would be like, oh yeah, check it out, you know. And now I'm thinking, oh no. There would definitely be a waste paper basket on this side because, of course, people come here to fill out paperwork, so there would have to be one out here. And I don't like how small that is. It needs to be bigger. There we go. Excellent. Actually, no, that's too big now. Well, yeah, I don't know. I'm not promising. I don't pretend to be any sort of economist or social scholar or anything, but I know when a YouTube channel gets it wrong. Okay, so let's see here. We got that, and what we want to do here is number one. Okay, I know what we want. I know what must be done. Oh yeah, Carol in the Apocalypse. That's the show on Netflix that we started watching. Maybe I mentioned this earlier. I'm sorry. I like it. The pre-apocalyptic genre. Yeah, that's where I started the whole thing. And I think that's. I mean, considering it's kind of crazy how big that whole genre was at a certain point, and it still sort of sucked to the most part. Can I say? Speaking of things that I liked. I really like. I thought the first Hunger Games movie was near perfect. I mean, what really got me thinking I really love this movie was at a certain point, Katniss, you know, when she goes into the Capitol. Not a fan of the book, by the way, but when she goes into the Capitol and she's on that television show, and I mean the absolute insanity that they're interviewing these people on like their equivalent of Stephen Colbert late at night with a comedian. These kids are about to die, and they're just like, ha ha! Oh, aren't they glamorous, ladies and gentlemen? But at a certain point, for just a couple of seconds, they do a side shot of the guy asking Katniss a question, and you can see off stage a guy just coming off and just grabbing something and hustling offside. And I loved that freaking little detail that it's, that they have, it's show business. And of course, that's going to be going on, even when you're talking in the midst of this absolutely insane ritual where people, et cetera, et cetera. Children get sacrificed, et cetera, et cetera. Now, here's the problem with this whole layout. I just realized, how is a cat going to see it? Because they can't perch on the end there. Poop. Jeez. I think I've got an idea of what I could do here. All right, I got an idea. Because really, the size of the time capsule is not all that important at this junk tour. The size of it itself. Yeah. We can bring this back a bit, back quite a bit. Bring this gal back a bit. Yeah, speaking about representation being fun, Davis, Mark Davis, and the harbor master on Peace Island is of African American descent, and it was fantastic. It just very entertaining from a writing perspective. Coming up with a lineage of this individual, the harbor master, and how he would have family lineage on the island, etc., and how he wound up there, etc., etc. It was a very good, fun writing exercise. I love doing researching lore and backstory. Because essentially, I mean, this is absolutely true. I'm pretty sure everybody here watching is probably familiar with what we used to have called the Underground Railroad in this country. Back there in the days of slavery, we had the Underground Railroad, and that would help people that were enslaved, escape to freedom. And out on Peaks Island, and I think another island, there were safe houses for, slaves that were being escorted to freedom via the Underground Railroad on the islands of Maine. And we were able to include, that bit of history, Maine history, in the game, because that's, in fact, one of those houses is still standing today. Okay, so yeah, we move that back. We can move this back. And that. Let's see. X. Thank you. And it led me to do a lot of research and stuff. Otherwise, I would not have done had not. And we decided, oh no, everybody here is, just white and Anglo-Saxon, etc., etc. So, and I know there are some people who go, oh, he's virtue signaling. Oh, yeah, whatever. Okay, if that makes you feel good, it's saying I'm virtue signaling. No. Try making a video game about, like, just Andrew Tate world, and, I mean, then come back to me after your project fails and you get scammed. And then we'll talk about, we'll entertain your point of view, sir. Or ma'am. Yeah. Okay. So. I can actually move that back a couple more inches, and every inch helps. And by the way, I've been can I just say, I never played BioShock past the first one. But man, BioShock Infinite, I'll have to say, I mean, I know their shortcomings and everything, but man, they really shot for the stars, and that, the multiverse story that they came up with, boy, that was pretty cool. But for what I understand, the game suffered from a lot of problems as well. I mean, I would love to play it, but I'm not into shooters. And no matter what you can say, yeah, there's a hell of a lot of story and environmental storytelling in BioShock, but it is still a shooter. You cannot get away from it, be a shooter. And number one, first-person games give me nausea. And number two, not a shooter, not a fan of shooters, never been. Actually, no, here's the thing is I played them back when that was one of the few genres of games that was available. I played Stalker, like I said, I played the first Bioshock, but now I'm not liking how big this is. I think I may again just have to move that back. But hey, it's all a discovery process here. The main problem is the cat's not being able to get on there and being able to read everything. And here's the thing, let's say we make it so that we don't have that at all. And now that this is in here, by the way, that gives me clearance to write. Well, no, the reason to write 3 more pieces of readable literature that the player is going to encounter in the game, which, is going to be, we're always bringing that open. I still have not done an accurate count of how many readable objects we have to date in the game. And like I said, for the next, for the public beta, we're going to have over 100 new ones. And I think in the end, it make it much larger. Yeah, here's where a tourist brochures would be. There'd be a tourist brochure display here. And let's see. I think one of the last times I streamed, I was like, we have to have the portraits of the former mayors up on that wall. Yeah, well, but let's see here. Because we want 10 portraits of mayors across the history. I think we figured it out that, yeah, you can have 5 mayors that served 2 terms and 5 mayors that served 1 term with 10 mayors total, because Peace Island Landing only came into existence in 1941 when when World War I happened and they had to start building World War I. All right, let's rewind, Eric. 1941 when World War II happened and they had to start building World War II fortifications. There you go. Good boy, Eric. You get a candy bar. It looks like I didn't get the spacing 100% consistent there, but that's fine. Yeah, I have to move these back in just a bit. That's cool. Let's see. All right, so how many porches? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we need 1 more over here. My goodness, it just fits. We just have to grab them and make them a little bit more, portrait sized. And maybe place them a little bit closer together. That way we can have a little bit more vertical space. Excellent. Because we do have people lined up to be featured as one of them. Yeah, here's the thing, that was sort of stupid because now I have to get rid of all of them and replace them. So. And could I just say the funniest fanboy uproar about inclusion and whatever in games recently was, I mean, I never played The Last of Us. I'm not a fan of zombie crap, so that's why I never watched it. And yes, it is. I'm not a zombie fan, but when that came out, there were some guys that were like, "Oh my god," because it had really good graphics, from what I understand. And some guys, the incel types, they're going, "Oh my god, they're making this character, etc., etc." And when I zoom in, I could see she has facial hair. What kind of woman has facial hair? Are they putting some trans stuff in here? And that was that. Can I just say, what's hilarious about that? I mean, any human being should know women have peach fuzz. That was coming from men who had actually never been close enough to a woman to actually notice that that happens, you know. And I again, she's of all the audiences for it to work for, we were like, oh yeah, we're going to choose for those people. We're going to create a piece of media that'll really appeal to those folks. Ooh, now talk about anyway. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to save this scene. Yeah, I got it on title. So I'm going to call this because it's not going to get uploaded. I'm going to call this Town Hall Workbench. Okay, cool. You know, there again, I need to bring in that coffee station for that. That's definitely where the coffee station would be. Um, you know, this is sort of a funny story. At a certain point, we were actually considering there may have been like a tradition in this town where they went into the toilet stall that indicated their choice, their binary choice on an issue, and we actually made that. But in the end, you know, more sane heads prevailed. Yeah, that would just not worked at all. So we just put a standard bathroom. Anyway, let's see here. Now I save that. I need to refine the drop ceiling before I could start bringing that in. And I really want a standard drop ceiling in these municipal buildings because nothing says municipal more than a drop ceiling. Anyway, and at long last, I'm gonna fix these goddamn doors. Arjuna, I asked him multiple times, please make the doors proper and correct. And he was like, Eric, does anybody really care about scale? Yeah, I do. I pay your paycheck, but instead, because you screamed at me, Arjuna, I'm going to apologize. And again, I never wanted to be a manager. And you know, Arjuna, if you're out there, or may I say, Peter Bourgeois, if you really want to, I mean, you're still on the credits of the game, and I remember that you said it would never get done because I'm crazy. And by the way, that was really rich coming from somebody whose default way of communication was screaming. But let me know if you want to still be mentioned on the game. I don't mind like removing your name because considering I had to redo pretty much all your work because you didn't really pay attention to anything that you were doing. And you know, anytime that I had any problem with your work, your default thing was to scream at me. So hey, just saying, Peter, would Peter Bourgeois would really wouldn't mind removing your name from the game, quite frankly. Um, but oh, look at that! This table went right smack right into the back of there. Actually, yeah, that has to it can be brought up to be a little shorter, stouter. There we go. Yeah. Okay, tourist brochures over there, literature up here, a sign above it, well down here, and a plaque above it. Coffee, yeah. You know, it's a step-by-step process. This looks a hell of a lot better as a city hall that did a few days ago. So we're going to save again, and I think. Oh, hello, off Ista ID. I don't know how to pronounce that name. That sounds like a name that almost. Well, no, I won't insult you, right? Because I almost said it was like a crazy name that Elon Musk would give to one of his children, and yeah, Elon Musk. I think I started off with that earlier. That's how I got like kudos from our guy there. But anyway, I just here's the I'm just continuing to notice stuff like the tile size in here should be larger. It should be square with the wall. There we go. Perfection. Yeah. All right. And then I'm going to save it. And I don't know if there's any, because I've now been going for an hour and 7 minutes. I tell you what, Ista, if you have any questions, comments about the game, let me know. Because here's what's going to happen. I'm probably going to sign off because this is Christmas Eve, and I did want to get a little bit of work done, but not much. I think in about an hour, we're going to sit down and watch television here. But wanted to get this done. But hey, if you have any questions, comments, criticism about the game, other than, hey, why is it taking so long? Let me know. Put in the chat, and I'll be right back. And I'd be interested in answering any questions you have. BRB. I'll put on some music while I'm away. Let's see. It would have to be something nice and long. But not that song that I had at the beginning that sounded like a dying thing. Let's see. Yeah, Don't Trust the Salvation Army. Yeah, I'll just put some techno crap on in the background really low. See you in a bit. Yeah. All right. And I can see no questions, no comments, no criticism or anything. So hey, it is what it is. So guys and gals, I guess later in geez, there should be another sort of like sign. God, I will never stop. Sorry, I got to do this. It just annoys me. I'm gonna have to come up with some more like sort of just municipal posters that can go up, like OSHA regulations and such. Because we need more stuff up on the walls. Make this stuff a little bit more active. Yeah. Well, at least we got that in there. So what I'm going to do is I could actually move one thing off of our to-do list, really, is I can say, well, no, I can't, because this has not been placed within the prefab. I have to place it within the prefab. Hold on, ladies and germs. I got to do this. Let's see here. Yeah, pedestal and time capsule. That's it. Yeah. So it was about the literature that needed. It's going to need a sign. Okay, sorry, I just had to read. Ah, the pedestal is way out of center. Sorry, I got to move this back into position because I really want to mark one thing off of my list tonight. Let's see. Come on. Boy, it places that thing way out in the middle of BF Egypt, as they used to say. Looks like we have some sort of weird floaty objects over here. Don't know what the hell those are, but we'll figure them out later. One thing at a time. Alrighty. So what we do now is we apply that to our prefab. Apply the overrides. And we go to our to-do list and we take time capsule in all caps from in progress to done. Whatever happened to that? Hold on, did I move the time capsule down to want? Hold on for a moment. Oh no, I moved that all the way down there. That shouldn't be there. Strangely enough, I moved that to the list of stuff that I thought I'd never be able to include. So anyway. Jeez, all caps, dang it. All right, great. Alrighty. Well, considering nobody's chatting or anything, I'm just going to figure it's the guys from Annapurna tuning in to see what ideas they can rip off from us for Stray 2. Buenos noches, and to those other folks who are not among that folks of those, hey, have yourselves a good holiday. We're just probably going to order Indian food. I'm probably not going to stream tomorrow, but I'm probably going to work nonetheless because, well, I've got to. I mean, there's just so much stuff that has to get done. And it's pretty much, unless I do it, there's a chance it's going to get done. Anyway, so really, we moved one thing into our done column. We're down now at 85 things done with 49 things remaining to be done. We're still not at 80%, but I think we're going to hit that mark by the end of the month. So anyway, take care. Bye-bye.